Take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad that we can at least have a virtual meeting to discuss the numerous ways that Rensselaer provides pre-medical and other types of healthcare advice and recommendations and things of that nature. We do have a question function that if you we'll try to go through this rather rapidly so that then we could get into questions and deal with it that way as opposed to bouncing back and forth. And that way I think you'll get the most reasonable amount of information. I'm Mike Hanna. I'm Associate Dean of Undergraduate Education, and I'm also a faculty member in the Department of Biological Sciences. I've been at Rensselaer for 42 years. I started when I was 6. Okay, I was very advanced at the age of 6, so I started then. And I've been doing a lot of pre-med advising probably for over 30 years. That doesn't mean I'm any good at it. That just means I can't find anybody else. That's all. But I'd like to keep this relatively informal, and I think we'll do that. So the first slide here was to introduce me. And the order that I'm going to do the presentation in is I will talk about our 7-year accelerated physician scientist program first. I'll talk about the Icon School of Medicine application, and then I will talk about how we deal with the just regular people who want to grow up to be physicians and aren't in specific programs. I will also introduce you to Ms. Dia Shah, who is a second-year student in the program, and she'll give you in the Accelerated Physician Scientist program. And we like to bring somebody on there because a lot of the questions are, how do you do this? Okay, from either beginning or how do you do this and live and survive and make your way through the world at RPI in an accelerated program. So that's kind of the format that we're going to follow. And I will go to, I think, the second slide. Okay. Well, we don't need to. I just did that one. Let's go to the third one. Now, I must admit, this is pretty small, so I'm having a little trouble reading it. In terms of the Accelerated Physician Scientist program, this is a program that I think is 50 years or older at this point. That's been between Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and the Albany Medical School. And it's been very successful. It went from a 6-year program, for those of you who think that this is very rapid. It went from a 6-year to a 7-year. And the reasoning for that is we wanted to distinguish ourselves from a lot of other programs because there are probably close to 40 combined BSMD programs across the country. So when the market gets bigger, you either have to get gigantic or you have to do something that's a little more specialized. And we had the idea, along with Albany Medical College, to, since we have such a strong School of Science, that a physician of the future should be very, very literate in science, okay, and in biological science and research in particular, because, well, let's just take COVID-19 as an example. If you're trying to keep up with the literature, what do you believe? What do you not believe? I'd like to hope that my physician does keep up with that literature and makes judgments based upon that, because we don't know everything. So it makes it, it gives us a wonderful example of a horrible disease. Okay. I just think that people who are trained in, have a knowledge of science, are going to be able to cope with the material better. So it will make them better physicians. We're not trying to grow everybody up into MD, PhDs, although you can do that, but we are trying to grow physicians who not only can talk to you, but understand the science and can bring the science to a level to help the patients with their decision making. So each year we get approximately between 350 and 500 applicants for this position, to come and join this program. You can only join it if you haven't been to college before. So you have to have been in high school. Now, the obvious question that comes up was, well, I took a course from University X when I was in high school. Well, you haven't really been in college. You might have taken a course and it was extra, or it was even a substitute for a course that you could have taken at high school. That's okay, but we're not going to take someone into this program who already has an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or a whole year of undergraduate work. It's not meant for that. It's meant for people coming right out of high school. There are, you can use the, what do they call it? The standardized application for undergraduate colleges.
Yeah, the Common App.
Yeah, the Common App. And you just have to write an extra essay that goes along with the Common App. It's also due earlier, either November 1st, or it's due the same time as if you were considering doing an ED1 application. I think it's the same date as the ED1 application. The way the application processes is it comes into Rensselaer first. And we have an individual who is assigned to read these applications and put them in some kind of order. And frankly, there's almost no one that applies to this program that we wouldn't take from the point of view of Rensselaer. They're really, really good applications. We then take, not me, because I'm not part of admissions. It's enough to be in administration and in faculty to not want a third job. So the way this works is the admissions office here sends a certain percentage of those applications over to Albany Medical School. They have met all of our requirements. They've taken the SATs or the ACTs. You have to take a couple of the SAT 2s if you take the SATs. You have to take a math, and you have to take one of the following, either a biological one, physics, or chemistry. So if you feel you're better in chemistry, or you didn't have as much opportunity at your school for advanced biology, it's okay if you take the chemistry one. So that's the beginning part of your application, and that's what is forwarded by the admissions office to Albany Medical College. From this point on, Albany Med is kind of in charge of the process. They look at the applications there, and they make decisions. The decisions can come in the following way. They do not wish to pursue the application. They would like to send you a secondary application. Okay, so they then send students that they're willing to consider at that point. They send a secondary application that I believe is identical to the secondary application for all med school applicants to Albany Medical College. And you need to fill that out and do a really good job on it and send it back. This is a time where there can be another cut based on the secondary application. They may either like it or they may like it less. Albany will issue probably not early. This is a longer process because we've got two schools. I would say the earliest that recently people have gotten notice from Albany Medical College that they want to interview them is kind of like February. And maybe sometimes even later than that. Do you remember when you got your
I think
secondary?
my interview was one of the first ones, so it was definitely actually in January, I remember, like the
January?
end of January. It was that long weekend in January.
Okay.
But they go all the way until like for 3 to 4 months. So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty stretched out. So typically we end up, Albany Med will make a decision on the interviews. And typically what happens is that you're notified that you've been accepted into the program, or you're notified that you have not been. So if you're notified that you have been, then all we want to do is wait for a nice little deposit and you're good to go. If the answer is that they are no longer going to consider your application, RPI still likes you a lot. And what RPI will do is say that if you want to join the School of Science in any one of the departments in the School of Science, we will consider your application for that. So if you really like RPI and you're not mad at us because of the decision that we didn't make, okay, then you're welcome to join the School of Science. So how does it work for people? It's a 7-year program, all right? Undergraduates 4, medical schools 4. We do the first 3 years, and there's a little bit less course selectivity for students in this program because in 3 years we have to make sure that they cover the most relevant material that you would have in a 4-year curriculum. So there are fewer free options, but we'll come back to that. You do 3 years at Rensselaer, and then we have a policy and promotions committee, which meets at the end of every semester to make sure everybody's doing okay academically, which means you need to have a 3.5 in your science math courses and a 3.5 in your overall academic average every semester. If that's correct, we just cheer and you just keep going right on along. So the 15 is a number we've hit uh, quite quite frequently lately. At the end of the third year, you've already spent at least half of semester 6 going between Rensselaer and AMC. And so you're doing RPI courses, but at least some of your credits are coming from research at Albany Med. It's built right into the curriculum in Curriculum 6. What's astounding is that almost everybody that's in the program starts their research at AMC before that. Some started as sophomores, some started at the beginning of their junior year, uh, which we would hope, since they liked our program, we think, because there was that science part in it. Then, if everything's okay, again, you get promoted to Albany Med. You start as a first-year medical student. And first-year medical students, for the most part, take biology courses. So in taking the biology courses, we just transfer them back to finish off the requisite number of credits that you need. So at the end of your fourth year, which means you've completed all your RPI requirements, you graduate from RPI, and you've already got 1 year of medical school under your belt. You continue on at Albany Med, and you do your last 3 years, and then you have an MD degree. So that's the basic breakdown. Dia, do you want me to move the slide to you so that they can see a little bit about you and you can talk about being in the program? One of the questions we always get asked is, how do you survive? And I say, well, you don't. And then I bring somebody in to tell you that, yes, you can. So this is Dia Shah. She's a sophomore in very good standing in the program. And I just wanted her to tell you something about herself.
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. As Dr. Hannah said, I am a sophomore in the physician scientist program. And I think he mentioned a little bit about this, but we do have to be a biology major just due to the nature of the program because it's a 3-year undergrad. We have to get in all of those requirements. But there's still freedom in pursuing any minor that you would like to. So I'm currently taking electives and Haas classes that will put me on track for a minor in strategic communication because I like writing and speech. So that's another plus about the program that I'll get to later on, that there's a lot of freedom, at least in the minor portion. Um, as for surviving in the program, I mean, it's definitely doable. It's actually it actually gives you a lot of freedom to pursue a lot of other on-campus activities that are not necessarily medical related. I mean, of course, you could do medical related ones too, but for example, as you could tell from the list of my activities, I'm very involved in cultural events around campus. I am an admissions ambassador, of course, that's why I'm here. I am the captain of our Bollywood dance team because I love dance, so I'm really happy that being in the program, I'm still able to continue my hobbies, such as what's listed here. Um, I'm also involved in Greek life, which is a great way to meet new people around campus. It really ties into the whole thing about surviving because it's definitely important to have balance throughout your undergraduate years. Of course, study hard, but it is definitely important to, as I said, have balance and meet new friends and meet new people. And there's Greek life really opens up the opportunities for that. So yeah, these are kind of my list of activities for what I'm involved in, other than uh, pursuing the physician scientist program. On the right side of my slide, I've just made a short list of a few of the reasons why this program is great. I One of my favorite things here is that it is a close knit group of friends. Like the second and third point kind of tie into each other. Since we're all biology majors, we're taking pretty much the same required classes every semester. So it really provides you with a great group of people, a close knit group of friends, and it's an amazing cohort in every year to study with. I love also the last point that I've written here, that even though you're major restricted to biology, you still have a lot of freedom to pretty much do any minor that you want to do. You can even do a double minor, I'm pretty sure. Um, so so yeah, I mean, surviving isn't too bad at all, actually, because you have your great group of friends, and the faculty and staff are always there to help you to make sure that you're able to stay on track with your grades and everything and the requirements. Um, so yeah, of course, one of the greatest um, things about this program is the guaranteed matriculation to med school. Of course, as Dr. Hannah said, it's conditional to your GPA requirements, but the 3.5 generally is pretty doable every semester as long as you are maintaining balance and working hard in all your classes and not being afraid to reach out for help if you need, because there are definitely some sciences that are more difficult than the others. Like, for example, physics 2 or orgo. Don't be scared to reach out, attend office hours, and just make sure that you're staying on track with everything. But all in all, I've definitely enjoyed the program a lot. I love that I'm able to still have freedom in a lot of the things I do regarding my minor and other hobbies around campus, while still staying on track and pursuing my career in medicine. So yeah.
Okay, I see that we have some questions coming in, but I'd like to hold those just to be certain that we get through the remaining two things. And I think I can do these pretty quickly. So if I go back to this, the second program is the FlexMed program with the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. This program, you go to school for a year and a half, and then you apply early. And if you get in, none of the rules for regular pre-meds hold at all. You have to graduate, you have to have a special project and things like that. And it really sounds wonderful. Except in 7 years, we've only had one person accepted into the program. So they're looking for something that obviously we don't have, uh, which we didn't think that premise was actually true. So the way I handle this is when students ask me about it, I say the only way you're going to find out information is to look at the FlexMed website, and I can tell you what I know about the program, and then you go ahead and you apply. Um, it's certainly not, from my point of view, a good reason to come here, because I think you can apply to the FlexMed program from any undergraduate school that you would go to. The other is for people who know that they want to go into the health professions, but they might have other health professions. So, for example, uh, if you want to be a dentist, we can work with you and we can help provide information, recommendation letters. We have a pre-health professions committee. And I'd like to say proudly, and this is based on a very much smaller number of students. So far, we have 100% ratio of people who apply to dental school getting in. We don't have millions of people who apply, probably one or two per year is about all. We provide assistance in other areas. Let's see, physician's assistant, um, nurse practitioner, podiatry, um, optometry, anything that you can think of that's in the medical profession. Um, we can help in certain ways. It depends a little bit on the profession, and we have to adapt some of our mechanisms. But certainly, if you want to be one of those things, we can do that. And before you waste time asking a question. We have over a 70% success rate with people who go the normal route. Now, I will say that even though I've been doing academic advising and pre-med advising, which includes all of the other areas, this year of COVID has been totally unpredictable. I have no idea what the results are going to be. The rules are changed almost as fast as you can see them. It's like everything else with COVID. The more we find out, either the more easy it makes it or the more difficult it makes it. It would be too soon for us to know what our success ratio for this year would be, but I don't know that I could, in all honesty, say anything at this point about it, other than that we're trying to keep up with the changes as they occur and help the students that we've been assisting to do that. Now, I consider the fact that someone gets into med school, not everybody gets in on the first application. Sometimes it takes more than one. But that's okay because we'll work with you even if you're an alum. I had the oldest alum I think I ever worked with was 40 and left his business and decided he became altruistic and he wanted to be a physician. And I worked with him and he ended up becoming a physician. He did it. I just worked with him. Okay. Dentists we've talked about. The other areas sometimes make it impossible for us to write letters, but they don't make it impossible for us to provide information. For example, if you want to be a veterinarian, you're really much better off with more letters from veterinarians than anything else, because that's really what they want to see. So a letter from me would be taking up space where the vet schools would prefer to see something more closely related to veterinary science. And the only thing I have that relates in that area is I brought up 2 daughters, but I don't know that that counts as veterinary work. I have the fattest cat you've ever seen in the world, and I have a dog that's too small to really be considered a dog. And both the cat's laying in the dog's bed, and the dog's laying in my chair right now in my study, which you see a picture of right here. We typically start working with students in their third year because the programs you can become an MD from any curriculum on the campus that I can think of. So immediately everybody thinks, well, there's nothing at RPI except biomedical engineering. All right, so everybody says, oh, I'll be a biomedical engineer. I say, that's fine, okay. But here's what you should think about. If you don't get in, would you be happy being a biomedical engineer for the rest of your life? A. B, everybody in engineering, and we've had some wonderful candidates from, probably 40% of our candidates come from biomedical engineering, but many of them take an extra year because in order to get the engineering curriculum in and the pre-med courses in, because they don't overlap nicely, it takes longer. And you've got to take the MCAT, so it's not advisable to take the MCAT before you finish. In fact, I would say this year, at least a third of our students who started out thinking they were going to apply to anything, no matter what department they're from, because of all of the confusion because of COVID, have decided to wait a year. And the medical schools don't mind if you're a little bit older. The average age of somebody applying to medical school is 24. Okay, so we don't have anybody 24 when they graduate. Well, we might have it, but it's just per chance. Okay, so that's about all that I wanted to say. And what I wanted to take a look at is I'll go over here and look at the questions that we've had from the beginning. Dia, this is probably more aimed at you. What kind of extracurriculars did the program look for in its applicants?
Sure. So I one kind of like unwritten requirement, I guess, is definitely strong research backgrounds because as Dr. Hannah was mentioning, what makes this program special is its great emphasis on research, like hence the word scientist in physician scientist program. So definitely everybody in each cohort has had a strong research experience from high school. It doesn't necessarily have to be any like specific like biological research or anything, but experience in research is definitely a requirement. As for other extracurriculars, there isn't anything like set in stone as to what they're looking for, but I can share that I had strong leadership in almost everything I was involved in. So that definitely showed like depth and longevity in almost all of my activities. Like, for example, I was like the president of my debate team, and I had been a part of that debate team for all 4 years of high school. Um, I had a strong dance background, and I showed my longevity and leadership in that by also being like the captain of my team in high school, things like that. I definitely think as for the physician side, I did a lot of volunteering activities and a few internships that showed kind of my character. So, for example, one summer I taught English to an underserved community. So, and that really came out that showed in my character through my interviews and my essays. So I would say like my final tip would be don't don't just do something just to put it on paper. Like make sure what you're doing is something you're generally passionate about because like the truth does come out in interviews. But like longevity in what you do, strong leadership and research are definitely three things I would make sure are present in your application.
I think you also need to show some volunteer work in medicine to make sure that you've checked out the profession and it doesn't make you want to run the other direction.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that's in there also.
Hmm.
Um, let's see, another question.
I
Okay,
think that,
how
yeah.
come this is from Leah. How come we won't let you apply to biomedical engineering if you get turned down from this program? I guess it's a two-part answer. They're overloaded with undergraduate students. They're really taxed. It's one of the most heavily subscribed engineering programs. You don't get as many as you do in mechanical and aerospace, but you get a lot of them. And the School of Engineering, because RPI is known as an engineering school, can get anybody they want. So they don't really want to mess around with it. If you want to be an engineer, I think you should apply to the engineering program straight off as opposed to applying to this program. I think the next question was from Thavar, and we answered that one. Can you apply to both union and RPI? Yes, but at a certain point, before they make a decision on you, they will make you make a decision on which undergraduate school you want to go to. So you can't apply to all three. If you apply to all three of the programs, they're all so different that it really looks like you don't care where you get your undergraduate degree from. You just want to get into Albany Medical College. So you're going to have to pick before they tell you if you get in. So it's not that you cannot apply. It's just that the 3 undergraduate institutions, we want people who want us,
Yeah,
and
sorry.
think
I
that
could
that's
just
the
oh,
best way
okay.
to do it.
Yeah, I was just gonna add to the answer for that question. Like, I feel like a common misunderstanding is that it would increase your chances, like, to apply through multiple feeder schools, such as applying to 2 or 3 out of RPI, Union, and Siena, but the answer is like, the general answer is that it doesn't increase your chances of getting into the BSMD program, and additionally, adding on to what Dr. Hannah said, it's definitely important to apply to what you wanna see in an undergrad because, um, I can understand, like, maybe from high school, you would feel like you just wanna get it straight into med school, but you still have to go through 3 or 4 years before you even reach med school. So if you're applying to Union and RPI, but you really only like the environment of one of them, then don't apply to the other one.
Yeah. Tips. I think Dia already gave you a lot of tips in what she explained about her high school activities and things of that nature. So I think we've answered that one. I don't see any other questions up here. Does anyone have a question that they still want to type in? I see we still have 48 participants. We've got a few more minutes. Then I'll just give a little piece of general advice. And this includes all of the programs that we have. You can go to any really good school if you can get in, and you can apply to go to medical school after you get your BS or while you're getting your BS degree. Some of the schools are very large. Some of the schools like RPI are intermediate. I think what you get that's different at RPI is you get more individual attention. Okay, if you're going to a school where they've got 500 pre-meds, I don't see how you can get the attention that you would want. And a lot of that comes in the recommendations and working with the pre-health committee. And we don't have any cutoffs, you know. Sometimes the medical schools claim they do holistic review. Well, I ask them what GPA does holistic start at, so then I'll know what to do. Um, so that's okay. Would I say the research requirement is mandatory when applying to RPI as a regular biology major? Nope. You just have to tell us you like biology. You know, we have several branches in biology. We have quantitative biology, we have straight biology, we have biochemistry and biophysics, and we have a new major in neuroscience. So there are a variety of different biological sciences. There's a lot of overlap between people in chemistry um, and biochemistry in the biology department. We have a biotechnology center where it doesn't matter what department you come from, you can do research with faculty members who are willing to let you in their lab. So, you know, that's fine. And if you don't want to do research, there's no real requirement. We have some research laboratories that are requirements, but they're more like a laboratory to go along with biochemistry or a laboratory to go along with molecular biology. If you don't want to do research, you don't have to. As a matter of fact, you could major in science and technology studies in the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences and apply to medical school. You still have to take the pre-med requirements. How many pre-med students do you have generally in an average year? Not a clue. Never have had a clue, because you don't come in as a pre-med student except in your own mind. Okay, everybody majors in something, and there is no pre-med major. There are courses that are necessary as pre-med requirements, but I've got someone from Lally from the business school who's applying this year. I have an architect who's going to apply next year. Um, you know, I haven't had an architect before. I'm looking forward to this. It'll be fun. Being published in a journal, that would be nice. But I mean, the way that I think about the research for the 7-year accelerated program is where you live makes an awful lot of difference as to what you have access to for science. So if you live someplace where it's easy to approach a college and to maybe get a summer research project or something like that, or a teaching hospital, fine. But what if you live in the country where that doesn't exist? Well, do you do science fairs? Can you take on an extra project with either your chemistry teacher or your biology teacher or something like that that shows us that you're interested? You don't have to have already won the Nobel Prize. Okay, you just have to show us that you like it. Other questions? I think we're just about at closing time. Okay. Thank you. We're happy to be here to do that. If you haven't shown much leadership during high school, but would like to apply to med school the regular way, we're taking on more leadership. Yeah, that's fine. The point is, not everybody does things at the same rate or does things at the same time. Okay, so a lot of individuals who want to join our accelerated program do the things that we would expect of a med student when they're pre-meds. As a matter of fact, just to go to regular medical school, they don't want to know what you did as a high school student. They want to know, what did you do for me lately?
Just to answer this last question, I've completed biological research for a science fair. My partner, yes, that would be a good way to show interest as long as you show that you're passionate about what the research was. Then that definitely is something you should add to your application. Yes.
Yeah, and winning awards is always good.
Yeah.
Play them up. My youngest daughter in the 5th grade won an award for her science project, and went to the regionals and came in second. As a result of not finishing first, she's now decided she's a junior in art school. So it's arts and sciences. I'm the sciences, she's the arts. I think pretty much we're finished unless somebody has a last question.